everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, know that I am just simply struggling to put a house together in California. I moved from out of state during COVID, and I am just a single Gen Xer trying to figure out how to have a decent home in such an expensive state. So I bought a place and I have been renovating it all on my own, a little at a time. The reasoning behind the planter boxes. So it's kind of a twofold thing. I mean, there's a lot of reasons behind anything really, I guess. But in this instance, I have new tools and I'm learning to use them, like saws. And I'm new to using most of these tools. I wanted to get a little bit more proficient at it before I started bigger things like the fireplace build out. And go, this is my template, which is basically what I did here. I built this one box and then I went, okay, I can do this now. This should work. And there were things I wanted to change, but it was workable. So this was my start. And from that, I started just cutting piece after piece after piece so that after measuring my patio, I had enough pieces to fill the whole patio space that's open. So from here, also I have two little Pomeranians. I call them monsters. I love them very much, but I wanted to not lock them in the backyard while I'm working on the front yard. I thought maybe if I built a planter box thing around the patio, I could keep them in the patio area if I wanted to work outside in the front yard. Or if I just wanted to sit outside and maybe meet some of the neighborhood. Now, I am sure you guys are all going to comment on my drill and probably a million other things in the background, but I can't address everything in the background. When I bought the house, that little doggy door in the screen was already there. My Pomeranians will not go in and out that thing. I guess the screen needs to be replaced. Or maybe just the stuff in the screen. Anyway, the pink drill. Let's address the pink drill. I was looking for just the right drill. I had a drill, but it was just too heavy, too powerful, whatever it was. Mostly it was just too heavy and awkward, and it was just really hard to use. So I went and looked for drills reviews from women, drills that were good for women that had great reviews. And this particular drill had women that were in their 70s and 80s that were using it that had arthritis. I'm like, if they can use it, so can I. So I bought this drill. It does work pretty well for me, maybe not as strong as I want it to be, but that could have everything to do with that little dial in the front that has the 1 through 10 on it. And I never read the directions to see what setting should be for what. So I'm sure that has everything to do with it. As you can see here, I am struggling to be able to hold this together while I attach it. I have nails, I have screws, but you want to get it right on the line where you marked. You want to get the screw holes just right in the right spot so that you can get through not only both of these pieces of wood, but so that you know where those marks are going to be while you get the next piece attached, because you're going to have other side pieces and you don't want to end up drilling right into your nail holes. So you need everything to be well marked, and you need to make sure that you hit your holes. So I got some wood glue and decided it would be better maybe if I started with gluing these together and then just tacking them with a nail versus trying to screw them in first. And I actually did find this works much better. It's just way easier if you first glue them and then nail them and then come back to them and add your screws. I think it's worth mentioning again, I am no professional carpenter here. I think we all know that. I'm just trying to figure out how to get this all together and make it work. I know in the end that I can trim the bottom pieces if I need to. I could sand them if it's just a little bit. That there are 4 legs that only has to stand on maybe 2 of them. 3 would be best. The other thing that I didn't really touch on enough in this is that when I decided to do this, I did want it to be sort of a doggy barrier to keep them from running off into the yard or whatever. They aren't prone to running off. And they could certainly jump over this if they really wanted to. I just don't think they would. I may raise these up a little bit or do something more with them to make it a little more protective for them. I haven't decided. But when I measured the front area of the front patio, I I was like, okay, I have 6 feet on this side, and I think it was 11 feet on the other side. And when I was measuring my planter boxes, I'm like, okay, this one's going to be 2 feet. This one's going to be 3 feet. This one's going to be 4 feet. Part of that was just leftover cuts of the material. Like if you make one that's 4 feet and I've got a 6 foot board, I automatically should make a 2 foot planter box because I've got an extra 2 feet just sitting there, right? And that was the complete design and plan of this was what my leftovers were and using those to the very best of my ability to fit the space I had. Here's where the real problem came in. When I was like, okay, this box is going to be 2 feet because I'm measuring I'm basing this on my fence boards, which is the bottom and the sides and of these planter boxes. The ends of them, however, have a 1x2 on each end, which actually makes them just a little bit longer. So when you put them all together on the patio in the end, by the way, I do not recommend this is your way of getting the glue out. You probably shouldn't use your teeth. And if you simply wipe off the glue when you're done using it and then put your lid on right, that will not happen. But, nobody lends me tools. You can guess why. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So in the end, these actually don't fit. And some of them do wobble. But, this channel is named Simply Struggling for a reason. And that's okay. It's okay that they didn't fit. It's okay that some of them were teetering. In the end, I went back through and I trimmed off the bottom of them, of the ones that were teetering, all except for one I still have to fix. And I went in the end and ended up having to pull the whole ends and sides off of one of them and just recut everything down a few inches to make everything fit correctly on the patio. But in the end, it does work out. It does work out. And again, like I said, this isn't a plan. It's okay if you make mistakes because you can fix your mistakes. It's just a planter box. This is a great sandbox to learn in and to take this skill and use it in other places in the house later on. Here, I'm really just trying to get everything in place. And when you draw these out, you actually have to flip them around to make sure that they're going to be in the right spot when you attach them. So when you're drawing the inside, that actually becomes your outside. And you need to make sure you have those correct. And when you do that flip, that you don't flip the stick upside down, because if you do, you're going to have exactly what I had, which was you're going to have wobbly planter boxes. And that is what I ended up doing right here on this one. I flipped one upside down by accident, and I won't know this until, well, much later, until the planter box is put together. At this point, I'm like, okay, where am I putting this so that it's going to go through here and through the other board and not get in the way of the next board that I have to put in. I'm also trying to keep this straight because you can see I've already glued the bottom and I want that glue to adhere. And since I don't have any clamps or anything, I just want to make sure that everything just stays in place long enough to get it attached. So here I have a small finishing nail. I'm just going to pop in with the already glued piece to just hold it in place. So if you look right here, you can see where I've made my mistake, because when I put the end panel piece on, the little 1x2 on the end, when I'm measuring it all out, I put it on the bottom, not the top of the piece. So that automatically flipped the whole thing around. It was automatically going to be wrong, because even though I measured it out completely perfectly, I have the top facing away from me on my piece that I've got glued, and I have the top facing towards me on the piece that I don't have glued. So they're not going to work right in the end. Whatever, just do a better job than I did if you decide to make something like this. And I would recommend maybe going online and finding a template if you don't have your own ideas in your head, or you can be like me and just build it from scratch, figuring it out as you go. No big deal. As you see what I'm doing here, I'm really just trying to get everything in place. And when you draw these out, you actually have to flip them around to make sure that they're going to be in the right spot when you attach them. So when you're drawing the inside, that actually becomes your outside. And you need to make sure you have those correct. And when you do that flip, that you don't flip the stick upside down, because if you do, you're going to have exactly what I had, which was you're going to have wobbly planter boxes. And that is what I ended up doing right here on this one. I flipped one upside down by accident, and I won't know this until right about now. You're going to see that I have one board upside down and one board right side up. And it only makes about, half an inch difference. But you can see right here that half an inch. I can see it. That's my first indication this isn't going to be right. But I've already glued it and I've already attached it. So this is where I'm at, right? I decide, try to not make this mistake again. Just keep moving along. And, in the end, sand it, do whatever you got to do to make it right. You can figure it out. It's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. So there I am. I have it. On to the next. We'll just deal with the consequences when we get to that point. It's time to screw these babies together. So this is really the part where it gets kind of exciting, because you're going to put the bottom on. And when you put the bottom on, you actually get to see, hey, how is this going to work? How is this going to get, is it going to set up right and whatever? This is the first time you get to really see if this is going to be level when you stand it up, sort of. I mean, this is like the moment of truth in my little planter box world right now. And it's probably 90 plus degrees outside, but I'm dedicated. I'm going to get this first box done. I started at probably 8 a.m. and, because I don't want to make noise before that outside. And it's probably close to, 10:30, 11 o'clock by now. And it's, getting hot. I'm ready to get the rest of these planter boxes done. So I'm marking my spots so that I can see that this is going to go through my bottom piece of wood and into my side pieces of wood. I really needed to get makeup on. So I put my side on and get it in place. Trying to remember to take off the little stickers on the end of the board, because I didn't do that the first time, and then I went to stain it and I had this whole sticky mess that I had to deal with from trying to take those off. Anyway, so once again, lining them up on each end so that it goes the full length and so that it doesn't overhang any more on one side than on the other. It's okay if it overhangs. It just needs to be even on both sides. So I mark my spots, making sure that I'm looking underneath it. Where are my previous nail and screw spots? Because you don't want to drill into those again. So I find those spots, mark them, and get the sides screwed onto the base. And I guess it's at this point that I should say, at some point my phone was starting to die. I didn't want to pull my camera out. So the next time I got interrupted, I put the camera on the charger or the phone on the charger and didn't get the video of. But we don't need to see me building every single one of these boxes. This is just, hey, this is how I did it, right or wrong, and this is how it worked out. And again, the channel's simply struggling. I am not a carpenter. I'm just trying to keep my dogs on the patio in a way that looks pleasant. I don't want to lose curb appeal, but I also want to keep my little monsters safe. So as you can see, we are making progress here. I get my sides drilled in and flip it up, flip it over, get my other side on. It's hot. I'm ready to be done, and I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. There's nothing more exciting than getting to these last parts where you're like, hey, this actually kind of looks like a box, right? And you're like, this might really work. Now, I think we can all see down here that there are gaps in the bottom of this. I actually thought when I did this, one of two things. I would either use a weed barrier insert, or I would use those little plastic tray type inserts to plant in these. I'm going to waterproof them or whatever, seal them, but until when you go to plant, I don't want to have the dirt and stuff coming out the bottom. So that is my thought. I would probably use weed barrier because I think it's a little late in the year to try to find those trays now. Usually you can find those at like Dollar Tree at the beginning of the season, super cheap. But, well, yeah, Dollar Tree. Anyway, that is the plan. I wasn't sure how well these were going to work, and I really wasn't even sure how much money I wanted to, or time I wanted to invest into these until I kind of had an idea of what this is going to turn out like. In the end, everybody's like, hey, these are too short. They're never going to work. So it's a deterrent. It certainly wouldn't keep my dogs from jumping out if they really wanted to, but I don't actually think they want to. I probably will make these higher, and I've been thinking about what I might do to make them higher, sort of like the TV in the guest bedroom. Anyway, if you guys have any ideas on this, I thought about building a shelf under them. I could do a half shelf over them. I could just make the, I don't know, you guys. If you have an idea on how we can make them taller, maybe I just need to make kind of like another rail over it, or just a rail on one side. Again, I don't want it to look like a fence. Look at my dog in the background. Mom, hey, mom. She reminds me of Stewie from Family Guy. Mama. All right. So at this point, we're putting on the top rails. I say we like I'm more than one person, or like I have a team with me. Gabby's supervising over there. Anyway, putting the side rails on, just finishing these up. They are just about ready to be tested in the front. Of course, I have several more to build, but you're not going to watch that part, and you are going to get to see the end result, which, maybe not perfect. Look at that lack of makeup, girl. And here comes the moment of truth. We have done it. We have built our last box. Our first box. Well, it's not really our first box, because I did make the first box to see if I could make it work, and then just sort of copied that idea and tried to improve on the places where I made the most mistakes. It's kind of a shame I didn't do the first one, because you probably would have seen a lot more comedy in that one. But I had some of the same struggles with the second one and third one and fourth one and whatever. Not the same struggles, but other struggles, I guess, is what I would say. You get in a hurry and you think you've got everything right. Like I said about flipping over the ends and thinking I was going to have level planters and realizing that I didn't. But that was okay, because it was an easy fix. And honestly, there's one that still wobbles out there. I can fix it. I'll get around to it. But there's so much to do in this house at this point, and I just want to get, things looking visually correct, and then I'm going to go back and fix things. I have doorknobs they're the coolest doorknobs because they have like a square base, right? But they're just slightly askew. And because they are, every time I look at them, it drives me just a little bit crazy. But it's better than it was, because all of my doorknobs are the same color now. It's like a win. It's a definite win. So this was actually the first planter box that I had made, and this is actually not perfect, but from this angle it looks really great. There's actually the whole lecture about drilling into nails and stuff, that really came from this one right here. So it wasn't, it was a struggle. That one was definitely a struggle. Okay, but my planter boxes are now cut out. If we look at the back corner, you can see that they don't line up. I needed to account for the little end handles, and I didn't, and they didn't quite fit. And I was like, no way! So yeah, I literally had to take one of them apart, pull the end off, cut the sides off, everything. Cut the sides, the bottom, the ends. Not the ends, but cut the bottom, the sides, and whatever, and reattach the whole thing. What a pain in the butt. But I had made it that far, and I was like, I could see the light. You could see it. It was like, this is going to work. I could tell it was going to work. Was it perfect? No. Notice that I have a little flower pot in the end and the front to make it fit right. I don't know what I did there. But anyway, Again, having those little things on the end, it seemed like it was going to work perfectly, but that made a big difference when you actually put them together, unfortunately. Now, because I have this entrance area that I don't actually want to block for deliveries and things like that, I just took the inside gate and put it outside for the purpose of testing my theory with the monsters and the planter boxes. But I will want to put something different there, and I'm not sure if that's like rolling planter boxes that I can just pull out, or if it's just another gate that I only use when I'm outside in the front with them, or what that looks like in the end. But this is a temporary fix that definitely would work. So now that I've fixed them and stained them, and you can see I also moved the bench from the side over to the front so that everything kind of matches in the front. I also put some solar lights on, which I'll have to get pictures later for, because I haven't gone out there at night and taken pictures of them yet. I know, bad me. Bad me. But I have to say, I personally think they turned out pretty nice. I like them. I like the look of them. I think I need to put another coat of stain on that bench back there. Oh, and the stain. Let's talk about the stain very quickly. The stain I used was simply, I just took the clear Thompson's water seal, and I used just drops. And I mean, you have to do this so carefully. Just drops of concrete stain and mixed it in. And I got beautiful coloring out of it. I really like the color of them. So anyway, that is how they turned out. What's really important is, how did they work? How do they function? They had two purposes, right? Right from the beginning. To contain the monsters, and so that it doesn't take away from curb appeal, or it maybe gives you curb appeal. And that's a wrap. If you made it all the way to here, I am absolutely amazed. You are my hero, because I don't know if I would have made it this far, but I haven't actually watched this yet, and I know so little about video editing and all of this. I just know there's a lot of missing people, especially children, like all of these on the screen right here, right now, long-term missing kids that you can help. You want to join us on Twitter, the missing person true crime community? We definitely love to have you along, sharing posters and helping spread awareness about missing children all over the country. Thank you so much for being here, and have a great day.